Good. Welcome to Q's on the Move, family and friends. I'm your man, Donald Williams, the proud second district chairman for the Fatherhood Initiative and Mentoring Committee in the second district. Well, family, we have experienced protests of politics, the pain of loss and sickness of loved ones due to COVID-19. Now we reliving George Floyd murder again at the trial of Derek. I'm not even mentioning his last name, the former police officer. You know who I'm talking about. All this reminds us that, folks, that Black lives do matter. Americans, attacks on Asian Americans, they matter. Certainly, humanity matters. Rolling back the voting laws and placing restrictions that return us to the days of Jim Crow. In the midst of all of this, all that's going on, I just want to remind you that we have experienced joy in this pandemic. The joy of connecting with others in a virtual platform. New pathways have been created. Relationships have been rekindled. Meeting with friends wearing your mask. The new normal. Repositioning of the Fatherhood Initiative and Mentoring Committee. I'm just so proud of the members of our committee, for we have been steadfast, we have been consistent, we have been laser focused on keeping the main thing, and that is mentoring matters, that uplifts, that gives you and your family hope. Q's on the Move is celebrating 4 years, and we have provided information and inspiration that uplifts, that inspire positive change in our community. And now I'd like to introduce my co-host, my good friend, Jeff Diggs.
Good evening, brothers, and Brother Williams and our guests tonight. Hey, you said, we're in the midst of this pandemic. We didn't know what to expect coming in, but we shifted, we pivoted, and we've made the thing work for us. We've had a greater outreach as a result of this that we could ever even imagine. And to the place like in the second district, we're extremely proud of the work that we've done. But tonight we want to, expand our reach. And, we have two great guests on tonight. There's one gentleman that, Brother Robert Fairchild, that we've called the Godfather of Fatherhood and Mentoring. This was a brother I met some years ago when I was first getting started with some of this work around here. And this brother led me, guided me, directed me in the direction where we're headed to now, just pointed, said, this is the way you go. And we took his lead and never looked back. And it's amazing the work that we've done. And then we're going to, first up, we're going to hear from Brother Earl Wilson, who's the International Chair of Fatherhood and Mentoring for Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. And so with that, we're going to jump right in. We want to give our guests an opportunity to share with us what it is that they do that makes us come out every day and do what we do. And so with that, first up, I want to introduce Brother Earl Wilson, the International Chair of Fatherhood and Mentoring. So Brother Wilson, as you come on board, as you come forth, the two questions that I want you to answer after your introduction is, who was your first mentor? And give us a personal story of how that impacted you.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Brother Diggs. And also thank you, Brother Williams, for inviting us here tonight and for continuing getting the message of Fatherhood Initiative and Mentoring for the Omega Psi Phi Fraternity, and in particular, the second district. I'm the chair of the International Committee, which consists of brothers throughout the district. Our vision is to be the global mentoring program to help adolescents to transition and to become positive citizens today. Also be positive students, as well as being positive future fathers. That's the ultimate goal that we're trying with our young men. And I'm fortunate to follow the lead of Brother Fairchild, who will be coming up next, who pretty much set the stage for us. And under our grand bosses, Brother Dr. David Marion and Brother Ricky Lewis, we centered this thing around the fraternity brand around where we want to make fatherhood and mentoring the face of our fraternity as we help to change the lives of the communities that we serve. So our goal is one, to make sure that throughout the world in those 16 countries that Omega serves, that we are able to assist those fathers, one, ultimately to get involved in their children's lives, as well as help young men in particular to become the positive citizens that they have the resources available, as well as the family. Ultimately, our goal, we know that once we allow that to happen, they will become positive future fathers as well as positive leaders. So that's where we are in Omega. And myself, I'm fortunate. You asked me who was my first mentor. And first, I want to give honor to God as well, because if you hear my story, I know that I was blessed, one, to have a father in my home. I was also blessed to have mentors, who was my first mentor. My father was. And then I had 6 other brothers who were older than me. So I was blessed to have someone in my life. And I thank God for that, because he has commanded that we take care of our neighbors. So that's why I'm in this business of fatherhood and youth mentoring, because it means so much for us as a nation, as Black men who have been blessed to be educated men, to be able to have the careers that we have, to pass it on to the next generation. But mine started at home. I started at home, seeing a father, seeing bigger brothers who were trying to do better things. And so I wanted to pass that on to the next generation. We don't hear that too often today from us. It's African American men. You see men that say, hey, I'm doing this for my race. I'm doing this for my people. I'm doing it for the next generation. So this is where we are in Omega. We know that if we help to change some lives today, those will be future Omega men. We could continue this path to be servant leaders as we are. So that's what got us here, got me here. And thanks to Brother Fairchild for bringing me on the team here some years ago. And now we'll turn this thing up even more to expand our scope. So I thank you, brothers, for what you're doing.
Thank you, Brother Wilson. We appreciate that. I'm going to get back to you in a couple of minutes. Next up, I want to introduce Brother Robert Fairchild, affectionately known as the Godfather within the fraternity. So, Brother Fairchild, give us your first mentor. Give us your why fatherhood and mentoring matters.
Thank you, Brother Diggs, and also Brother William. Thank you for allowing me to be here with you and sharing a few bits of information. My first mentor, really, I didn't have a father in my life, and so my uncle really became my mentor, and this man just did a phenomenal job with me, and I was kind of a young, wild kind of guy when I was growing up, and he would always pull me up, and he really, I guess I would say, the person that I am right now and who I am, I would have to give him the credit. I recognize that sometimes when you think you're going in the right direction, somebody gives you the right things to do, things to say, and you challenge it at the time because you don't know any better. But when somebody can correct you and then you see the results, it means an awful lot. And from that, I learned that, I can help a lot of other people by that whole thought process. We need help. In fact, the whole thought process of passing on to the next generation is really key. And I think that reason I'm probably involved or has been involved, I think we kind of fell short coming out of the 60s to where we are right now. We kind of fell short of passing it on from one generation to the next generation, especially with Black males. And so the impact that he had on me has been tremendous. And it's like I said, it's based on who I am right now. So that was my first mentor.
Okay. So with that, before I jump over there to our Brother Williams, I want to go back to Brother Earl Wilson and to give us some words. I've heard about Project Manhood, and that and what are some of the goals and visions from the fraternity at the international level of the fraternity? If you would, please, sir. Brother Wilson.
You're muted, Brother Wilson.
Yes, excuse me. Project Manhood is the birth of our 41st Grand Boss, Dr. David Marion, when he combined the Fatherhood Initiative along with youth mentoring, where he wanted to make sure that Omega is able to mentor young men in our active, making an active part of what we do. Although several chapters were doing it, he's structured it now where up on each one of the dishes as well as the chapters. And this allows us to reach young men. Pretty much we target 3rd through 6th grade on the 4 pillars of basic leadership, academic excellence, and personal development, financial literacy, and also social outreach, where young men will be involved in the community. So those are the basic 4 pillars that each one of the chapters, whether they are, say, Project Manhood, Omega University, the Rhinos, Lamplighters, all of these programs fall up under Project Manhood, and it administered through our district chairperson. So this allows us to, if long as this chapters touch those 4 basic areas, to do such things as take young men on college tours, do your robotics program. We also assist the young men for his tutoring, going down to the schools and reading to young men or mentoring young men at the school. So basically the chapter has various programs based on what's going on in that city. But again, those ultimate goals that we are trying to reach is to touch them today to be positive citizens today in their school and their community, ultimately to be want them to be servant leaders as they grow older. And this thing, we're trying to get the chapters to work with those young men from, say, elementary school all the way up to high school. And then we even follow them on the college as a lot of the programs do. So it's a variation, but basically those 4 pillars are the things that we, the activities that we host with them. So we are also doing a, what we call a Hbcu Youth Leadership Conference. Our program pretty much has 4 basic areas. You're talking about the Project Manhood, Big Brothers, Big Sisters. We also do our Youth Leadership Conference, as well as those activities that we have for our young men to fall under. So the Hbcu Youth Leadership Conference, one of the things that we take around to all the Black colleges and universities around the country, where we host our youth leadership program there, partnering with Regis Banks to do financial literacy, partnering with Nobles to do police and relationship with the community. And this allows us to take young men on a college campus at least twice a year. One is going to help with the sustainment of HBCUs, particularly young men. We feel that if we allow them to go on a college campus, get that experience, also get assistance from subject matter experts to come in and talk to the families, as well as talk with the young men about life skills that will help them to reach the goals that we want. So that's one of the things that we're doing. We've had several programs to be successful with Alabama A&M University, FAMU, Florida A&M, Clark College, as well as we're planning others throughout this year. So this is a very outstanding program to get young men to come in and talk firsthand to subject matter experts on those things that will help not only develop the young men, but also develop their families, allow these young men to grow. So that's where we are, and we're pushing this very hard. We're going to be doing exciting things, in particular with the robotics programs that we have. We'll be showcasing that and partnering with other entities to make sure that we're able to ultimately develop our young men and our future.
Okay, thank you so much for that. I'm gonna jump over to Brother Williams, and he's going to run through a few slides for us. But in the meantime, I want you, brother, to think about this question. We hear the term deadbeat dads, and I want to know what it is that comes to your mind with that term. I know I've had some feelings and some things about it, but we'll get back. We're just giving you a few minutes to think about it. So next up, Brother Don Williams, who's the chair of the 2nd District Fatherhood and Mentoring. So with Brother Williams, share with some of your thoughts, and as you get started, I'm going to bring up some slides and have you tell us what these slides mean.
All right. Hey, thank you so much. First, let me just say thank you. I'm excited. We got 2 superstars, Jeff.
Yes.
And we just love hearing your stories. We've only been maybe 12 to 13 years into this journey. You guys are the role models. You've shown us the way. And I just want to thank you personally for your leadership. We want to thank you for your compassion and thank you for pouring into Donald Williams, you know, and you 2 are my friends. We look up to you. Jeff and I look up to you with much love and respect, and the relationship that we've had over the years has totally been enriching in my life and a blessing. Great conversation. Again, we're just excited to have you here. As the slides come up, Brother Godfather Robert Fairchild is front and center. We got Earl in the back. And this was at our last, I guess, conference that we were able to gather in Atlantic City. And we were front and center. And it was a special moment in a mega nation. And for the first time at a major conference, we were showcased all the incredible work that districts, that chapters do around the world. I'm saying around the world. We came together and was able to showcase our young males, as you can see front and center. And so this is kind of one of my memories that's etched in my mind. The next slide. Godfather, you're no stranger to cues on the move. This takes us back, I want to say probably when we just started 4 years ago, Jeff. This takes us back to us kicking off the cues on the move. And so as you can see, we have our 35th district representative, Sherman Charles. We had the Godfather, and I just so excited. Shout out to Sherman Charles. He appointed me as the 2nd district. He repositioned this committee, and we have been launching ever since. Jeff, I know you got some thoughts on that picture.
Yeah, you know, that was our very first podcast. Like I said, that was our initial. In fact, we was riding on someone else's show that night, the Real Husbands of Largo. I'm sorry, who actually spearheaded us in getting and helping us getting along with this. And like I said, we were fortunate to have Brother Sherman Charles that night and Brother Fairchild there to kick off our inaugural podcast.
It's been fun. Hey, look, Congressional Black Caucus. We don't have enough time to talk about that, but there's my good friend, the international chairman, S.E. Wilson, Earl Wilson there, with my boys. These are the ones I've poured into. Like you guys have poured into me. Hey, it's a generational thing. We've poured into these guys. And this was at our last opportunity at the Congressional Black Caucus year before COVID hit. And so we had Earl talk to them. Of course, I got all my mega brothers pouring into my mentors, my mentees, anytime they're with me. Great memories. Hey, this is back in Atlantic City. Wow. Look at those colors. I tell you, I can go one by one. I got my good friend, Sean Ratliff. I got my good friend, Earl Wilson. We started together in Soul Career. I was his keeper of finance. He was the bosses. We got the 34th district representative, who actually, Dewey Harrison, Milton Dewey Harrison, give him his proper respect, the 34th district representative. He actually had, took one of his leadership conferences down there on the Eastern Shore and showcased what is now called the Fatherhood and Mentoring. And then Jeff Diggs, you know, my good friend, and rest in peace, my good friend who ushers in our Grand Basilis. We're gonna miss you, but another memory that's etched in my mind forever. Another picture, Again, Atlantic City, well, I can't even find words to explain the importance and the value of having this committee showcase. And I want to salute Earl Wilson for pulling everybody together, all the resources. We had a local chapter to bring their boys. Again, a wonderful time. I got to meet the judge, my first Black judge, a mega brother. Wow, was a blessing to me. And here's another picture. This was our signature picture. Again, as Jeff was saying, the husband of Largo, my good friend, Stacy Jordan, who speaks at the Game Changer. He's our long-standing speaker. Game Changer's in the 10th year. He spoke at every conference. And so it takes us back, Memories. Jeff, I thought you were gonna save this for last.
I can.
Okay, but I do want to get back to the question. I know, Godfather, your passion about mentoring young fathers. Can you speak to that? And then we come back to that one that's going to get your blood pressure raised. But talk to us about your passion for mentoring those young brothers, those young fathers.
Yeah, this comes from a long time ago when we found Tabitha Boone, when he first brought the Fatherhood initiative from the President Obama, and we did the partnership. There was this thought process about the young fathers, this thing of that 16 to 24-year-old age group. And when I first got into it, I didn't really have a great appreciation for that, what that really meant. But a lot of things were said about the issues that young fathers have and the frustration and the things that they need to be successful. There are a lot of false narratives out there about how you saw fathers and their involvement. The term deadbeat dad was used a lot. And of course, I think we helped to change that narrative a little bit and get away from that deadbeat. It wasn't deadbeat, it was dead broke. Simply, it was an economic issue versus the fact that the father didn't want to be involved. In fact, you find that many cases, Black fathers are very much involved with their kids. And the one thing that we worked hard trying to do was to be able to get involved and help those guys out. And it's kind of interesting how we put mentoring and fatherhood together. When you're mentoring, you're really doing the father's job. But while we're mentoring, we'll find out that some of those young men that we're mentoring are actually fathers. We did a program where we call Future Dads. And it's kind of interesting how we started that conversation off and started talking to young guys. And then we asked the question, how many of you are fathers? And it was amazing the number of young men that held their hands up. So we started looking at that real careful. And even as you looked at it more, in fact, our first vice grand boss sent me a note one time. He had a young man who was 16 years old. He just become a father, wanted help. And so we found out there are a lot of kids out there like that. I was at a conference here in DC, and when this young man came in the door with his daughter. Well, I didn't realize it was his daughter. I thought it was he was just babysitting. And I say, well, oh, I see you brought your sister with you. He said, oh, this is my daughter. He was 18 years old. So they need a lot of help. And my issue with the fraternity has always been, we got a lot of fathers in the fraternity. That makes a lot of experts sitting out there that've got a lot of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. We need to share it. Pass it on what you know. You can help out people real easily. You don't have to be some kind of mystical, magical, fatherhood trained kind of guy. If you raised a kid and that kid went to college, you got a lot to talk about. You got a lot of experience that you can share with young men who are struggling and help them out. Just your conversation can solve a lot of young men's problems. So that's been a big issue with me, and I'll keep pushing that until I quit breathing.
Thank you so much. Hey, Brother Earl, I'm not letting you off the hook. You know, we have done amazing impact in the Black community. I am remembering when you first got appointed, I believe it was on the eve of November, the election, and you hit the ground running with that voting campaign. Can you talk to that before we wrap up?
Yeah. Matter of fact, we have a program where we encouraging fathers to take their sons, grandsons, and our mentees to the poll with them, pretty much to pass on this generation the importance of to the next generation the importance of voting, getting out to vote. You know, you get a lot of stigma that Black men don't vote. So what we've done, we've asked fathers to take their sons, the grandsons and mentees, to the poll with them, to give them experience and talk to them about the importance. And we saw the fruits of our labor at this last election here in Georgia, where, you know, we encouraged fathers to go out through the various programs and take their sons out with them. So that's a campaign that we do during each election. It doesn't matter if it's a national election. We're asking at the state election, particularly right now, the next election that's coming up, we're asking fathers to get involved and Black men to get involved in our chapters through our political action programs out at all the various locations. I know we were here in Atlanta, going out to the Walmarts, going through the neighborhoods, and just to see Black men out encouraging others to vote is definitely heartwarming. And what we find out as we're out there in the community, in particular communities of color, a lot of people don't even know that they have the right to vote, particularly those who are felons. So we are able to pass on information. We ask to pass information through PSAs, press release. And so it's very important that men set the example and that fathers set the example for the next generation, the importance of voting, because that's the voice that we have. And we must continue this effort. And I know we're going to be doing it at each one of the local elections. That's something that our committee stress. So we definitely push that narrative because it's very, very, very important to what we do.
Brother, I tell you what, I cannot express my gratitude for for the two of you being here tonight. And I tell you what, that was powerful with that term, Brother Fairchild, that they weren't dead beats, they were dead broke. So so we got about 3 minutes left, Don. Want to share a little something about this slide here?
Yes, let me give a shout out to my good friend, Dr. George Taylor, the editor of the Fatherhood Initiative Mentoring Committee. This is our international newsletter. We were in a conversation at one of those late night. He was trying to meet the deadline, and he had a caption. First, I was honored to be on the same page with Dr. Corbett, who cracked the code of this vaccine, her team at NIH. And so the caption read, "When pricked by the needle, he did not wince nor cried aloud. He took it like a man." And so this is a miracle of modern science. Just a year ago, just think, there was no idea, we wasn't even thinking about a vaccine. We got 60 million Americans that are fully vaccinated today. I want to encourage our community to roll up their sleeve and take the shot, and let's celebrate. Again, this is a miracle, and we need to be celebrating this. Again, shout out to Dr. George Taylor for highlighting that. And I guess for my closing remarks, Jeff, you want to do the closing remarks and then pass it to me?
Yeah, you know, I'm extremely honored to have these two brothers here tonight. Like I said, I've learned so much from them, and there's still continue to lead us in the fraternity in the direction that we need to go. And you know, and I thought it was extremely important to hear about this term of deadbeat dads. That was one of the focus that we started with in Annapolis with fatherhood and mentoring, and to explain to that, you know, these terms, this just term deadbeat is an economic term. They weren't deadbeat, they were just dead broke. And so they had to pay a price for being broke. So I thank you guys for bringing your wisdom and your sage advice to us tonight. Back to you, Don, to finish.
Hey, look, Brother Diggs, I just want to thank you for calling into my remembrance the work that you have done with lending a voice in Annapolis, legislatively taking the microphone and testifying in person, delivering that message. We know how offensive that term is, and I'm so proud that Omega Psi Phi was able to change the narrative. You don't hear that term often anymore. So again, thank you, brothers. Hey, my closing remarks on this Easter weekend, April the 4th. We are encouraged and we are excited about the work that we have collectively done together, that we continue to do to strengthen our young people's lives, to strengthen family lives, to uplift each other, to give inspiration. That is our story. Every week we share stories about the incredible work Omega Men are doing across the 5 states of New York, New Jersey, Delaware, Pennsylvania, and Maryland. Those states make up the 2nd District with mentoring our young people, especially our young males, and helping our men become effective dads. And they are involved in their children's lives. What is your story? What will your story be in 2021? Mentor some boys, mentor some girls. Let's make the world a better place in which we can live and raise our family. With that, Q's on the move. We see you next Tuesday for Q's on the
On the
move.
move. Good night and thank you.